Student Appreciation Day in the books for Ohio State. That's right, the Buckeyes were in here with about 2,000 students and a lot of media members. It is practice number 10 or 11. It's a little rapid reaction edition solo. I'm going to do 3 lessons of the Ohio State Student Appreciation Day here in this big loaded notebook. That's what we've got, a loaded notebook for you guys. Get more over at lettermenrow.com. I'm going to have a couple stories, observations from the offense and defense. We've got a lot to get to. I'm going to do 3 big lessons learned here just to get you guys in and out in about 10 minutes for your Saturday. Then go have a spring Saturday. First lesson, Quincy Porter, black stripe off. That guy is, folks, Brian Hartline got another one. I think it's safe to say he is good. He's long. He's physical. He looked really good against some of the best corners on this roster today. Quincy Porter, somebody to watch. He was, again, black stripe removal. They got up in front of the team, and you heard a black stripe, and you thought maybe it's one of the walk-ons, maybe Devin Sanchez, maybe an offensive lineman, and instead it was Quincy Porter. That is telling. He's the first freshman of the 2025 recruiting class to lose that black stripe. Pretty big indicator there that he's rising up this wide receiver depth chart. Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith are the 2 main guys on the outside. There's not much in the way of Quincy Porter in playing time, though, on the outside there, because those Carnell and Jeremiah are really only the 2 other outside guys that we saw repping out there today, which means there is playing time to be had for Quincy Porter. Does this all mean that he's going to play a lot? No, not at all. We'll see what the season has in store. He's got to continue to put days together, but it is quite telling that they decided he would be the first freshman to lose his black stripe. That happened today. He made a couple of really nice plays. He's big, he's physical, he's exactly what Brian Hartline wants in an outside receiver, and you're starting to see that show up already. Let's go with number 2, the offensive line. We had decent day for the offensive line, up and down. There were a couple penalties. I think they're still working through some things. Phillip Daniels, very, very aggressive. That's one thing that I will say. Too aggressive. At one point, there was a play inside the 5-yard line in a red zone period where Phillip Daniels got a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty for kind of starting a kerfluffle or getting in the middle of or a kerfluffle or a Donnybrook, if you will. It wasn't really a fight, I will say that, but there was some words exchanged, a little bit of pushing happened. Phillip Daniels gets a flag. You like the attitude and the aggression. I think they need to hone that in a little bit, but he looks like a pretty good player right now on the outside there. Ethan Onyanwa played a lot of left tackle next to Luke Montgomery, who was next to Carson Hinsman or Josh Padilla. Hinsman and Padilla rotating in at that center spot with the ones. I thought that was very interesting. Tegra Shabola was the first team right guard, and then at right tackle was actually, for the first part of practice, was Austin Saraveld. Now, Phillip Daniels did play there, but Austin Saraveld taking first team right tackle reps. Second team offensive line that I gathered was Phillip Daniels, then Gabe Van Sickle, then Padilla or Hinsman, depending on which play it was. Then Ian Moore was at right tackle, and then 76 Jake Cook was actually playing at right guard. Now, Cook has been recruited as an interior offensive lineman, a center or a guard. He definitely was playing more guard today. That doesn't mean that he's going to be a guard, but it's interesting that they're cross-training him guard center. Those are really the offensive line notes, not really anybody who was standing out especially well, although Ohio State, I thought, did run the football pretty well today with C.J. Donaldson, with James Peoples, and especially with freshman Bo Jackson, who I think is what we thought he would be, is what Carlos Lachlan was talking about, is what some Lettermen Row sources have indicated and hinted at. Bo looks good. He looks really good in his cuts. He's good at the line of scrimmage. He bursts through the line of scrimmage. He's good in the open field. I think Bo Jackson has a chance to have an impact on this team after watching today. I'm very excited about what 25 could do for this Ohio State rushing attack. And third lesson learned before we get out of here, man, this secondary is something special. Jermaine Matthews had an interception. Bryce West had a really nice pass breakup. I thought Aaron Scott had a good practice. Davis Nignosen didn't do much just because he's such a veteran. He was out there for some. Didn't really hear his name called, but also you kind of know what you have with IGB at this point. No penalties thrown on him, which is always a good thing here. Obviously, the receivers are getting theirs. Brandon Ennis had a nice catch over the middle. I thought Phillip Bell had a decent day. Obviously, Quincy Porter, Jeremiah Smith is who he is at this point. We don't need to rehash all of that. But over all of that, I thought the secondary did have a nice day, especially highlighted by a Bryce West pass breakup, highlighted by a Jermaine Matthews interception, highlighted by, Inky Jones had a couple of pass breakups just because he kind of gets peppered with targets there against that second and third team secondary. Not much work for Caleb Downs back there, but I did think Malik Hartford and Jalen McClain both had a decent day. Lorenzo Styles Jr. pass breakup, I thought he had a decent day. this secondary is just so loaded, and we were seeing that come to life here inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. So many students. A little bonus thing for you here. For the fourth thing, Jeremiah Smith. I've never seen a crowd, not for C.J. Stroud, not for Marvin Harrison Jr., not for Caleb Downs. I've never seen a crowd like there was around Jeremiah Smith. There were 2 police officers who had to get involved, not in a bad way, just, hey, Jeremiah's got to get to the locker room, guys. We can't have every student here getting Jeremiah's autograph or a picture with him. It's time to get him to the locker room. So the police, there was 2, Ohio State or Columbus police officers who kind of helped escort him to the locker room as if he was Ryan Day, as a field was being stormed. It was kind of interesting. And then Caleb Downs had a massive crowd around him. The one that I did think was interesting, Sonny Styles had a huge crowd around him, and he embraced it. He signed, I think, everybody who asked, he signed an autograph of. Looked a little Stroud-esque to me, where CJ hung around longer than anybody else and gave autographs out, took pictures. As one of the captains of this team, it's so important to have a face. And Jeremiah and Caleb are obviously the faces of this team. But it's interesting that you've got a Sonny Styles who is taking command of all of that, kind of, being that face of the program, signing everybody who wants one. Just something to note. I thought it was interesting, the 3 guys who had the most people around them. Obviously, Julian Say and Lincoln Keenholz had folks asking them for things, but you see the leaders starting to emerge on this team just by the way that the students appreciate some of these kids who are out here. That's it. That's 3 things, and then a little bonus thing. So we've got the secondary, we've got the offensive line, and we've got Quincy Porter. I was impressed with all 3 of those things today, and then the students who were out here. It was a good day inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. We've got plenty of coverage over at lettermenrow.com. You can get all of that coverage for $1 right now, $1 for your first week. That leads you into the spring game and basically gets you the spring game at this point for $1. That's almost free. I can't give it to you for free, but I can give it to you for $1. Go to lettermenrow.com right now. Get that deal. Go to rowback.com. Of course, I'm sporting the rowback. A couple people kind of shouted that out when I was here. Letterman 20, you get rowback 20% off, a generous 20% off offer. And we will see you guys over at lettermenrow.com. Subscribe to the Lettermen Row YouTube channel if you're not already. Like the video below, and we'll see you guys over at lettermenrow.com for full coverage of Ohio State spring practice.